In this lecture, we'll be taking a code demonstration of working with custom events using Vue.js directive. So we covered up the concepts in the earlier lecture, and here we'll be seeing a demonstration of it. So all I've done till now is I've created this button, and here I am making use of a function called addUp, and then a value called counter will be shown over here. Now counter is initialized with the value 0, and then I have added this method in our methods collection. So here this addUp is there, and all it's doing is just incrementing the value of counter with 1 every time the button is being clicked. Now, as in our previous lecture, we learned that the child can communicate back to parent using the Vue.js directive, and here we will have to do two things. First, triggering an event. For that we'll be making use of emit, and then listening to that event using the on directive. So here the first thing that we need to do is, as soon as this addUp function gets called, we need to notify the parent about this. So we'll be doing that using the emit, and here we'll be saying this dot dollar emit, and here we'll be specifying the name of the method. Let's call it as addUp. And once we are through with this, we'll be going back to the app.vue file, and here where we are making use of this component, we will be making use of the on event here. So here we'll be saying on, and we'll say the method addUp that we created over there in our child component. So we are listening on to the addUp method, and once it gets executed, we'll be calling a function over here. Let's call it as addUp total. So this we will be defining in app.vue file, this method. Let's save this, and here where we are defining our component, we'll be introducing the methods inside this block. We'll be defining our method that's addUp total. So we'll say addUp total colon function, and inside this function we'll be having a value. Let's call it as total, and we can initialize it with 0. And here in our addUp total, we will be doing the total by incrementing it with 1. So every time the child component is incremented, the total counter is also updated over here. So just to summarize, what we are trying to do over here is, whenever in our child component we are clicking on any button, we are notifying the parent about it, and the parent is actually subscribed to that particular method or event. So the addUp method that you see over here is actually, the parent has actually subscribed to this using Vue.js directive. So in our parent component, we are making use of Vue.js, and then we're listening up for the addUp method. So whenever it's getting called, we are then emitting it, and using this emit, the parent gets notified about it, and then it calls up the addUp total. And here in our parent component, we'll be including the total over here in this way. Now let's go ahead and execute this and see it in action. So here you can see that the button is initially displaying 0, and the total value is also coming up as 0. Let's click on this child component button, and the value of the button gets incremented to 1, and similarly the total gets also incremented to 1. So every time I click on this button, it's emitting, and then the parent is listening to that particular method, and based on that it's calling another function, which is then finally incrementing the value over here in the parent component. So that's how we make use of Vue.js directive with custom events to pass on changes from child component to parent component.